Hi, welcome back to God's Mercy Podcast. So I'm praised and really happy to be here once again. On our last episode, we saw the goodness of God during our hard times. We always question ourselves, and the way we question God, say, God, do you really exist? Or God, do you even see me? Why me? Why not me? And why these things are happening? So we saw a lot of things, and we saw how God carried us through that period of hardness, when things are not working out, when things are not going through the way that it was supposed to be, I can say, or the way we wish it to be. So in our last episode, we had a brief discussion, and we saw that it's goodness of God always carry us, and sometimes it's not clear enough for our eyes to see. So sometimes I had to put on some faith. So believe in God, and keep God by yourselves is one of the things that can push you during your hard times. So today we're talking about how God's Mercy podcast came to life. So going back in 2021 when I was trying to come to Europe. So that was the time. I cannot say it's when it just began, but I get to think more about it. So by that time, so maybe in the next episode I'll also be sharing the period before that time. But right now let's just cut story short and start from the time when I was trying to get a visa to come to Europe. So that time we had to go to Tanzania, and it was really a total lockdown in Rwanda because it was due to COVID. The COVID was there, and I can say it was a critical by that time. So there was like a total lockdown in the entire country. So I was wondering how I'm going to be able to get my visa, or even to travel to get my visa, because things were complicated, I can say. So also, before going for the visa, let me just maybe don't forget about this short story before that. So when I was working, so my parents asked me, you have to go for your education. You are still young, so you can just focus on money by this time and, forget about your studies, which is the right thing that every parent can choose for their kids. So we had a discussion, and I was like, I just want to study, but what I want to study, I don't think it's going to be easy for me to find it. By that time, it wasn't clear enough, and I wasn't even know how I'm going to just tell my parent that, I just want to go for photography studies, or even maybe cinematography. But that time I was mainly on photography, which is still something that I'm still doing right now. So my parents asked me, what do you want to study? So straight I was like, I want to study photography. Every parent that can be a hard thing to understand. How am I going to send this kid to Europe just to study photography? And my parents that time was also not. They said, okay, you want to study photography? Where do you want to study your photography? Because there was a short school, I think short course schools in Rwanda, and they were teaching for 6 months. I was like, I want to get a degree in photography, so this is what I really want. But my parents wanted me to go for electronics, computer electronics, because I did computer electronics in high school. So I was maybe have to go for computer science or maybe go for electronics. So my choice was the in-between. But to be honest, I wanted to go for photography. So I tell my parents that I want to go for photography. And I don't know if I can say that it was hard for them to understand that I have to go for photography, or maybe it was just a little bit challenging for them. So my mom said, okay, if you want to go for photography, yeah, you can go for that. And then my dad as well, when I just tell him that I want to go for photography, he was like, okay, so you know what is best for you. And by that time I was doing photography, and they could see that it was working fine. So they didn't I can say they didn't bother me for persuade or try to get to achieve my dreams. So my mom said, okay, try to find a school, try to do everything you want to do, and then just let me know what is needed. The next day I tried to find a school. I went to my friend, my brother's man. So it was my best friend, my brother, my big brother for a long time since we were in high school. So I asked him, man, what are you planning? Where do you want to go study? So I can say that time, Canada was the only thing that was in our mind. Even when we were in high school, we were just talking about going to Canada all the time. So that time I asked him, what's the plan? Because that time to get a visa to go to Canada, and it was a nightmare. It was one of the hardest things I can say. So I asked him, what are you planning? He said, I want to go to Canada, but it's a little bit hard, so we can plan because the visa process is so stressful, so it's not that easy to get it. So then I say, okay, so what the other country that we can try? He told me like there was like Poland, and that time I knew the other person who told me about Poland. I was like, okay, maybe let me try it. So I try to find somebody to help me to get more details about schools in Poland. And then I get to get a school, which is also one of the good things. It wasn't that hard for me because I found someone to ask and they guide me through the process and they said, okay, do this and this and this and this. And then they got me to all the details. Later on, so the visa process time came in and I had to go to Tanzania, as I was saying. So as I said as well, it was totally locked down. So there was no way that I could be able to go to Tanzania. It was, for me, to be honest, it wasn't clear enough for me. So later on, the lockdown goes, I can say like it was not that serious by the time that I wanted to book my flight and everything. But still you have to do like the COVID test from Rwanda, and when you get to Tanzania, by that time in Tanzania, there was no COVID test. But when you came and you have your COVID test from Rwanda, you have to get there and then you showed it them and then they would just check everything. But for some individuals, they were having another test. So why am I talking about a story of going for my visa application? It was the time I was having flu and I had to go and make like COVID test. So it wasn't clear for me if I had COVID or if it was like a normal flu, according to the weather and everything. But I was afraid. I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to take this flight. And my flight was in 1 week, and I had to, and my interview was also in the same week as my flight. So the difference between the day that I went for the COVID test and the day I had my flight was 1 week, and then for my interview was 1 week and 2 days. So I was like, if they find COVID, and I'm not gonna be able to go for my interview. I'm not gonna be able to take my flight. So everything would be screwed. So I just prayed and said, God, help me. I hope this is not COVID. The signs were like for COVID, to be honest. And I say, okay, let me just go. I went there. They do the test. And luckily, after like a few days, so they gave me the result on Monday, and then I had flight on Tuesday, I think, yeah. So they gave me the result on next Monday, so because it has to be 1 week. And then they told me, okay, you don't have COVID. And I was like, oh, God, thank you so much. Because I didn't believe I'm going to be able to, to go for my visa interview. And then I took my flight the next day. It was on Tuesday. So I didn't know nobody in Tanzania. So the only thing I knew was my hotel is booked and this and this. I know the address for the embassy. I didn't know anyone. Luckily, when I took a flight, I found someone who was in the same plane they were going for the interview. So we went together. And when I get to the airport, I met a guy. And then the guy told me, okay, somebody's coming to pick me up. So you don't stress yourself trying to get a taxi and everything. And then they took us to the place where we were supposed to stay. I was like, okay. Because I didn't know anyone, so just feel me how I was just like thinking in my mind how things gonna be like. So then we get there. The next day we went for like the interview. So and luckily I had all my documents. I had all my documents that was needed, which was not even easy to get during COVID. So when we were on the way going to the interview, I was praying. I said, God, give me a chance. Let me get let me get this visa because I really want to go there. Because if I stay in Rwanda, I had to go for my normal university stuff. I had to go for maybe computer science or electronics. So we got there like for the interview. One guy goes in and did like an interview. I was like the third guy, I think. I went there, I did the interview, they asked me the question and everything. And everything seems to be good, it seems to be great. I gave the answers and everything was correct. So, but after the interview, the worst part is checking your documents. Sometimes they're going to be saying that, we don't see the clear reason why you're going for the studies in Poland, or like why you going for work in Poland, or like we don't believe you're gonna come back to Rwanda. So I just finished the interview. I went out. People went for the visa. They were coming like say, I didn't get the visa. I have to do the reappeal and everything. So I was like, maybe I'll be one of the guys who have to get a reappeal. But the funniest thing was, in 1 week I was supposed to get like the result, but at the same time I was supposed to take my flight back to Rwanda. So it's either I get a visa or that will be another story. So I went back home and I kept praying. I was always praying with my God's Mercy chaplet, which is my way to go prayers. I always use that one. I always pray. So God's mercy. I believe in God's mercy, to be honest. So I kept my God's mercy chaplet and I pray all the time. So I prayed and said, God, show me. God, help me. God, I believe that if you help me, I'm going to be able to get this. So later on, we went back for the result. It was one of the stressful day, but yeah, it was one of the best days, I can say. I went there, so the first guy got in. Yeah, got a visa. The second guy didn't get a visa. The third guy didn't get a visa. The fourth guy got a visa. And that was the sixth guy. So I went there, and then the guy handed me like my passport, and I was like, I already knew that people, when they gave you like a passport only without any paper, it means you get a visa. In my heart, I was like, thank you, Lord. Thank you. If it wasn't you, I couldn't be here, and I couldn't even make it. I couldn't even get this visa. So I went out. I was speechless. I didn't even understand how I got a visa while the other guys, got rejected, because I wasn't a perfect guy. So there could be somebody else who could get it instead of me. So I was like, God, thank you. This is not because I did my best in the interview, or maybe just because I gave the perfect documents and everything, but just because of your goodness, because of your mercy. So my prayers got answered. So the guys out there was asking me, did you get a visa? Did you get a visa? I was speechless, and I was like, how am I going to tell this guy that I got a visa while he didn't even get a visa? So I just said, okay, I got a visa. And they could see like the reaction I have. They say, no, you're lying, because if you get a visa, you could be celebrating, you could be excited. But me, to be honest, I didn't even understand how I got a visa, because the only thing I knew that I did was praying, say, God, I believe you mercy. So if your love and mercy could be the only thing that have to get me through this. And God did. So later on, I got my visa in the morning, and I had my flight in the afternoon. So the only thing I had to do was go back to the hotel, pick up my bag, and then go for my flight. And then I had as well to do the COVID test. So luckily, there was a rapid test. So you're going to do a test, and then in a few hours, you're going to get a result. I did a test, and then I had to run to the airport. So I was on the last call. It was calling my name, saying, this guy, where is he? And when I get to the airport, I was telling the security guy, like, I'm the guy they are calling. So the plane is about to take off, and they say, I was telling them, please help me to get there. The guy helped me, open the gates for me. When like all the checkpoints, I was like, they put me in front, they helped me, and so I'm so thankful for those guys. If there wasn't them, I couldn't be here. So. Now, I mean, man, I could be here, but like the story could be different. So the guy got me there, and then I just jumped in the plane, and I was like, there is no way that I catch this one, because it was on the last call as well. So I got to Kigali, did a COVID test, and then went back home, and I was still processing how I got a visa. So let me cut a short story again, and then let's come back to when I get here in Poland. So before I came here, I was like, to be honest, when I came to Europe, I didn't know anyone in Poland. So I know from a few of my relatives in different countries of Europe, but in Poland, I didn't know anyone. So I had to come on my own, hustle, do what I supposed to do, study, and then, see how life goes. So I was on my way coming, and then I was asking myself, what am I going to do? How am I going to do things? I only knew that I'm going to come here, get to the airport, go to the hotel, next day go to school, find a document that is needed, find like the accommodation and everything, and then life will be like that. So when I go here, I met a guy. So he told me, so the only thing you have to know about here, you have to get a job first. I didn't know that I'm going to be working, to be honest. He said, you have to get a job. And then later on, the other guy who just came to pick me up from the airport, He just told me, oh, so when you get here, you need to take a rest. And I was like, I have to go to the hotel and everything. And then the guy told me his name. I remember his name was Maurice. His name was Maurice. So he told me, you gotta come to my place. There is a space, so you can stay there for a couple of few days, and then later on you can go for. You can even, if you choose to stay there, you can stay there. If you just want to go for another option, so you can go for another option. So I was also telling him about that job that the other friend of mine told me about, and he was like, oh, that would be good, you can try that. It's not easy, but you can try it. So I went to his place. He gave me food, he gave me everything. I didn't know how to go buy groceries and everything. So later on, after like a few days, I had to go for that work that my friend told me about. And my friend, thanks to that guy, it's not easy to find someone who can say, you can get a job from this place. That's one of the hardest things, I think. So the guy, I'm so thankful for him. So thankful. His name is Ephraim. So, and the nickname is FemK. So if you get to watch these videos, I want to say thank you, bro. Thank you for everything. So, and thank you to Maurice for helping me during that period, because I didn't know anything to do. Then later on, after getting that job, it was hard, as I was like, damn, how am I going to do this? But I kept praying. I kept my prayers by my side, and I always pray and I say, God, show me the way, give me strength. So we're doing a night shift, working 10 hours. And I was like, it was my first time spending the whole night working, not sure what I was doing, to be honest. So it was the hardest, I can say. But I kept praying, and then God gave me strength. And that was one of the hardest jobs I ever did. But God gave me strength. I was like, okay, after like 1 week, I was okay with it. My legs was hurting, but I was like, okay, I'm going to get used to it. So I get used to it. I worked there. And then later on, I had to go for my studies. So as I came for photography and journalism. So, which was one of the things that I really wanted, and I'm so thankful that God helped me for my parents to understand that going for photography would be one of the good things as well. So I got here. So I started my studies and everything. First semester, I went for studies and everything. Then came to arrive. Got a normal life here in Europe. So I kept my prayers by my side, because life was not easy. You are not working, you're just going to school, come back, you have to pay accommodation, you have to pay for groceries and everything. You have to live normal life. It was hard for me and for my parents for the first time, because I had to call them, to be honest. So, but later on I was like, you cannot keep calling your parents to cover everything. You gotta be a man. So I said, okay, let me try my photography once again. And then I just tell my friend to bring my camera, and then I went to photography once again, try to do it. I could make a few amount of money. And then later on, I met my friend Fabrice. He told me there is this place that I'm working at, and it's not that hard. You can come, you can, during your free days when you don't have classes, you can just come and work and then get that. Even though it's small amount of money, but you can get that money. So we went there. I just got there, and then I worked and everything. And then I kept trying to build my photography. Later on, things changed, things get worse. And that was a period that while I was even quiet on even social medias. I spent like more than a year without using Instagram, and I was off. And I just say like maybe my life changed, so I don't need this. I don't really need to use these social medias, because I'm now trying to find the new life that I need to live in. So, and there's one thing I want to say about us as well. Sometimes people think that when silent, sometimes it's just because life is good, and sometimes because you are busy with yourself, you are doing your things and everything. But sometimes life is hard for even to understand it. Not that hard because you can't feed yourself, because you can't do anything, but you can see how blessed you are, and sometimes you don't see it clearly. And so sometimes people don't really understand that, but it's one of the things that happens most of the time for a lot of us during the period of surviving, I can say. So later on, after that period of silence, of how, fighting for my life, I can say, because things was not easy. I didn't have a job. I can say even my photography wasn't that perfect, but I was making few amount of money to pay for land and few things. Then later on, we got a job. We got a job in another city, far away from the city that we were studying. And I went there with my guy Elve. There is like a short that this is a story that I'm cutting. I'm gonna be having them with friends of mine. So I'm gonna bring them to the podcast. Then we can share those stories, and then it's gonna be one of the coolest things. But I'm trying to cut it short. There was like a story in between before me and Elve we go to that press. But let me go to that press because that's the press where God's mercy came to be one of the moments I say I gotta do it. I gotta do it whenever I get a chance. So we got there to that praise. It was a new praise for me and Elve. So shout out to my guy Elve Ward. And then we started walking to that praise. It was also as well night shift, sometimes like a day shift. So Elve Ward, it was one day I was walking and I couldn't find him for like almost 30 minutes. I was like, where's this guy? There was like different sectors. So maybe he's in another sector, so maybe I'll find him when we were going for lunch. And when I was walking by that side, in another sector, I saw somebody in the corner was standing in the corner. I was like, is that Elve? And then when I just get closer, the guy was like this. I thought he was sleeping, and I was laughing. I was like, man, are you sleeping this time, man? These guys are paying you to work. You're not supposed to sleep. And then Elve was telling me, I'm praying, and the guy was really praying, and I was like, oh, sorry, man, sorry for disturbing you, but that was like one of the funniest moments. I was like, this guy is sleeping. How this guy is sleeping? So he was praying. All of us were praying to get a job, get a good job. Try to make some money and try to live, I guess, a lavish life and try to even go for our dreams. So we're shooting some content for TikTok during that time because we're staying in the same place, me and Elvin, and we could exchange different ideas and stuff. And he was like, I gotta get a job, and he was even doing some application. So, but after that time when he finished praying, we met again. He was like, I was just praying. We gotta find a job, man. And then later on, my guy got a call from one of the recruiters. It was like, yeah, we can schedule an interview after they reviewed his CV. So my guy the next day told me, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have an interview soon. So I was like, oh damn, that's really good. So I hope you're gonna make it. And ask him, when are you having an interview? Say today. I was like, so you're not coming to work? He was like, yeah, I'm not coming to work. And I was like, okay, so this is gonna be a day off, so you're gonna try to do that interview, try to make it. So I believe that you're gonna be able to get it. And then I went for work. So after work, I came and he said, oh, the interview was good and everything. But then the guy, like, they kept him waiting for a long time. And then I got an interview as well with another company, and but I failed. Because I failed like during that interview, and I was like, okay, it is what it is. I'm gonna get another chance, so I don't need to stress myself. So later on, we got like, but that time, I was about to go. I can say to go back to Rwanda because I was tired of this thing. I was like, there's no way that I can keep fighting for 3 or 4 years trying to get things, and I couldn't make it. So I was starting getting tired of it. And then a friend of mine was Ariane Hirezi. So he sent me a message like, email this guy. They're offering a job. Elve as well sent me the same message, and I was like, damn, this is not a coincidence. And I said, okay, I have to do the application. And ask if would give you the details and everything. So we find the same person. Shout out to my sister Kirezi. So that's one of the good things. You opened some doors for me, man. So later on at that time, we got like an interview for that job, and then like we passed. So it was also in another city. So that was like, I can say, it was not a fourth city for me. I lived in a lot of cities here in Poland. So I said I kind of the story short. So I'm gonna be sharing my story in different episodes. And if you also want to know some details, if you know like some part of my story and you want to know a lot of details about it, you can just mention it and comment. I will be sharing it anytime. So we go to that city, and we met like good people. We had a good experience. We had a good time. So the another God's mercy sign that we got when we got there. The first God's mercy sign was getting that job. It was like a dream for everyone. We got there the 2 days after. Elver Ward told me like the guys they just scheduled another interview with him, and I was like, this is one of the really good things. So we prayed. We say, God, give us the way. And then after 2 or 3 days, he told me that a guy gave him an offer letter. It was like a dream coming true. So I said, man, that's really good. So as long as you get a job, promising that we're gonna get it, or even a friend of mine is gonna be able to get it. So because that's one of the things that I truly believe happens. So whenever God bless your friend, you're blessed as well. So that's why I never got envy for my friends, making it in life. So I'm always like, so as long as my friend made it, they're gonna open some doors for me. So, and for the others as well. So every word got that job, and I was like, thank you, Lord. So you answered his prayer. This guy was was spending the whole night praying. So answering his prayer is one of the best things. So later on, every word relocated to that different city, and I stayed in that city, and I stayed there for like I think 5 6 months. So I could maybe go there and visit sometime, and then every word sometime I could come and visit. But we wasn't meeting that time, but we would have like a call and everything, so we could talk and ask him how is his life, how is it going. So later on, I met a guy, Olivier, DJ Coles. So thank you, guy. Thank you, man. Thank you, bro. So the guy we met for one day, we exchanged stories, good vibes and everything. We met the second day. The third day, I was like, I'm looking for the job. And then he told me, I think at a company they're hiring. I was like, if they're hiring, maybe you can recommend me. That would be one of the good things. He was working in the same company with Elver. So the guy recommended me, and then I got an interview, I got an everything, and then Rockery by God's mercy. I don't want to talk more about it, but by God's mercy, I got the job. Thanks to DJ Coles, thanks to all the guys who were there who helped me get the details. So there was a lot of guys involved. But I'm going to invite them to this podcast, and I believe that we're going to be able to share the different stories. So I passed the interview and everything, and then I got an offer letter that to go there. So I went to that city, try to make money and everything. But I was still praying. My God's Master Chapter was always by me, and I was always like saying, God, I promise you this. I'm gonna preach your name. I'm gonna talk about your goodness. I'm gonna do this. But as I said, I'm just a guy. I don't know much about the Bible. I don't know much about how I can preach. But the only thing I knew was like I can talk. I can talk how goodness of God is, and I say maybe I'm gonna do a podcast. I'm gonna create a podcast to talk about God's mercy, talk about His goodness, His love, His unfaithfulness. God is faithful. God is faithful. God is faithful. So I got there, and then I was questioning myself how I'm gonna do that podcast. So I tried different ways, read a lot of videos. I had to read a lot of videos. I was like, nah, this is not the perfect way I want it to be. So later on, my guy Prince told me, we can create a studio. And I was like, oh, that's one of the good ideas. So we got an idea, we just write, and then I do like a trial, try to create a studio in Rwanda. So, and that was one of my dreams since I was a kid, and when I grew up, and when I was in the business stuff, I was like, I'm gonna have a studio one time. And then there was a song that I sang, but I'm gonna share it maybe later on. So I just went to Rwanda, just try to build that studio. The process was a little bit wrong, but I don't want to talk more about it. And then I just created that studio by God's mercy. I don't know how I did it. And then later on, I came back and I was with Prince and said, it's possible that we can do it. He said, oh, let's go for it. And by God's mercy, we didn't know how we're going to get the money to create a studio. We didn't know how we're going to do it. We didn't have any clue about how it's going to be done. By God's mercy, we did everything. And today we have our studio. So in Kigali, it's Urumuri Creative Hub. We try to create like a creative hub for the creatives, to create different content and also like bring the ideas to life. So here in Poland, we got our studio also. So it's one of the things that I don't know how it was done. But by His goodness, by His mercy, everything came to life. Our studio came to life. There is a lot of things that are still going in the background, some hard days, some hardest days, some sleepless nights, but we are thankful. We are thankful for everything that we have achieved so far. And everything we got is by His goodness, is by His mercy, by His guidance. So I cannot finish without saying, if you're out there having the hard times, going through the hard days, just pray. Bring God closer, or maybe get closer to God. Because He's the one who can give you the answers. He's the one who can make your darkest days into the brightest one. He's the one who can make your life brighter than it has been. He's the only one who can show you the way. Just pray. So thank you so much for walking through the days and through the background of God's Mercy podcast. So I believe we had a very good time, and this conversation is going to help you through your day and through everything that you are doing. So keep the faith, keep believing God's mercy and His love. Thank you so much for joining me. See you in the next episode.